here come Galway.
The full back going through there for Galway as they take the field, and obviously anxious to get on with it here at Croke Park this afternoon. Tony Keady there in the tracksuit going out will not be part of the proceedings here, and that's Jarlath Cloonan just going through the screen, the Galway manager. Perhaps much pressure on his shoulders today, having taken over the managership of the Galway team. Well, obviously a hard act to follow in Cyril Farr, the man who went before him. Kieran Barr has joined me up here in the presentation box, and well, Galway go into this game, Kieran, without any form that we know of, but nonetheless, some of the older heads on the team have been playing very well lately, and a lot of new talent in that Galway side, so they'll be hopeful in Galway.
It will be. I think we've seen a shot there of the new guy, Joe McGrath.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be looking for these young guys to do something special. You know, they've got the old guys there, Joe Cooney, Sean Tracy, McInerney, you know, and Hopper McGrath, and they're going to have to say to themselves at some stage, the younger fellas that have come through under 21 McCloonan, we've got to take this to a scruff of the neck and go and win something. And maybe this is here, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully this will be a better game than the previous game, but they've got the talent there. Galway have got good hurlers. They've got a good, strong club scene, and I can't see why they shouldn't produce 15 or 20 good hurlers in the county team.
I'm sure guys like Michael McGrath will hate us for calling himself and some of the other lads old guys like Joe Cooney there. They're still only in their late 20s, but I'm sure they know what we mean. Yeah. Just briefly referring back to the last match, obviously you were bitterly disappointed with the way it worked out in the end. That goal that Gallagher dropped here in front of us seemed to be the killer altogether.
It did. It seemed Antrim dropped their head shortly after that, and it's a bad mistake, but these things happen. It was a hard ball to tackle. It was coming in low at the crossbar, and he made the mistake. And the game, I was saying to Marty Morrissey during the game, that there was a crucial period straight after the half-time when Kilkenny drew level. And when they drew level, that was when it was in the balance. And unfortunately, the Bruins went Kilkenny's way, and then they took those chances.
Well, Ken Hogan, the Tipperary goalkeeper, leads the side out here, and there's Bobby Ryan, and perhaps much on his shoulders this afternoon as well. He has taken over Michael Feary, of course, is the Tipperary captain, but Ken Hogan leading the side out there. But Bobby Ryan, that we just saw going through the picture there, much on his shoulders this afternoon because he has taken over here in that centre-back position from Michael O'Mara, who was dropped for the semi-final.
There's no man with a bigger heart than Bobby Ryan in the game, and when he puts that Tipperary jersey on, I remember the All-Ireland final when they won it. I think it was they beat Kilkenny a couple of years ago. He was getting roasted in the first half. He came out in the second half and died for the team. He threw himself around, was jumping in front of balls and blocking balls all over the place. He's the type of guy that you can depend on to play 100% with all his heart for you, and that's probably why he's in the team today. You see there Nicky English at the end of the bench there. English has got to do or die today. If he's not able to do it today, he might as well forget about it, because he's been such a good player for them and such great promise that people expect a player of that calibre to play like that every day. It's a great demand on people, but they expect him to do it, and I think he's in fit enough condition, he's good enough psychologically, he has to be, that this could be his day to come back into the major scene.
Before we hand over for the commentary, your tip for this one, who's going to win it?
I think I was hoping that Galway were going to do it. I had a sneaking feeling about them all year. I tipped them at the start of the year, and I'm going to stick with them. But the more and more I heard about them, their preparations in the West, and the more, you know, you just don't know whether they're right or not. And I'm still going to go with them, but it's with more reservations than it was at the start of the year.
Yes, I know what you mean, Kieran. Their preparations for this match perhaps is the question mark over Galway. However, the match is about to begin in a few minutes' time. Let's go over then to our commentary team for this one. Jimmy Barry Murphy has now joined Ger Canning and the commentary box.
Yes, Jimmy's had a busy afternoon. We're going to look at the Galway team straight away. And the shape in Galway's lineup suggests a youth policy, a look ahead perhaps to future days. 3 players being introduced to the cut and thrust of the championship for the first time. Murty Killalay and Pádraig Kelly on the left flank of the Westerners' defence, while Joe McGrath joins his experienced brother Michael in the forwards. Indeed, Michael, known as Hopper, is this year's team captain. So, no Pete Finnerty. Tony Keady conspicuous by his absence as well, but Murty Killalay is in there, and he's playing left corner back from Carnmore, and he's a young player who's come through the under-21 ranks. You may remember he won an All-Ireland medal 2 years ago when Galway accounted for Cork in the semi-final and then Offaly in the final. Indeed, it's going to be Galway versus Cork again in this year's semi-final of the under-21 title. Meanwhile, Tipperary, and in spite of the absence of Pat Fox, who's had an infected shin bone injury, the Tip selection still looks highly formidable. Nicky English is a most able replacement, while Bobby Ryan is also back from the outset, filling in for the luckless Michael O'Mara, who finds himself relegated to the subs bench. But the overall impression of the lineup suggests one of a most powerful unit with scarcely a weakness. This is the big lad, of course, Anthony Cross. He's been involved in Munster hurling and Munster football finals already this year, and picked up the medal, of course, against Clare, losing out against Cork in what was a creditable performance nonetheless by Tipperary footballers on the day. Overall, this the 13th time that Tip and Galway have contested an All-Ireland hurling semi-final. Colm Bonner here, he was involved, of course, last couple of occasions that Tip and Galway met here. Colm had to go off in the Munster final against Clare, having picked up an injury that day, the result of a bad pass, he was saying, from his brother Connell. There's Joe Rabbit wearing the Ashgard glove on both hands, in fact, because he has hand injuries, broken bones in both hands. So Joe Rabbit, I think there was always the feeling that if he was available at all in any shape or form, they were going to play him. Here's the new Tipperary team captain, Michael Cleary, from Éire Óg in Nina. Fine young player, rarely plays a bad game. Rapier sharp in front of the post, and of course, and one of the paciest forwards about as well, a bit like DJ Carey. Here we have the man who was man of the match in the All-Ireland Club final back on St. Patrick's Day, Pádraig Kelly from the Sarsfields Club. Terrific occasion. He's a young teacher, Pádraig Kelly, neat and tidy hurler. John Lahey contributed handsomely to Tip's fine win in Munster, and deservedly won the Sunday Games Man of the Match award. There will be awards, of course, for both matches tonight in tonight's programme, starting at 8 o'clock. There's Michael Coleman, familiar figure at this stage, from Abbey Knockmoy, former All-Star who possesses all the attributes of a fine midfield player. Played very well against Antrim recently when they had that tussle about 10 days ago. Ken Hogan, fine goalkeeper. His general form has stood the test of time over the years. He's been at the top now with Tipperary since they came back prominently back in 1987 under Babs Keating. So they're coming across now towards the parade of the teams. Bobby is back, wasn't quite fit for the match against Clare. As I was saying a little bit earlier on in the afternoon, Babs Keating and his team of selectors laid down a policy early on in the year that if a fellow wasn't 100% fit before the selection was made, well, then he wasn't going to get in. So we saw him go in for the last 10-15 minutes of the Munster final. So the parade of the teams, behind them, Artane Boys Band heading down towards the canal end to begin with. It's Michael Cleary who leads Tipperary, and it is Hopper McGrath who leads Galway in this second All-Ireland hurling semi-final, who'll be here against Kilkenny on the first Sunday in September. It's a mouth-watering prospect. Well, Jimmy, there's a fine atmosphere developing here now. Down at the canal end, it's very much Tipperary, and Galway, well, they are here and there throughout the crowd. Good support for both teams.
People seem to be looking forward to this game very much. Galway are a bit of an unknown quantity, and they'd be hoping to get a good start, I'd imagine, and get the supporters behind them. But certainly Tipperary are here in force today, and they think after the Munster final win that they have a very, very good team. So today is going to be a bigger test for them, I think. But certainly a great day for the game, and great atmosphere here building up.
Tip expectations, Jimmy, very, very high. I mean, once they get out of Munster, straight away they're thinking in terms of an All-Ireland, and of course they'd love nothing better than a clash with the Cats.
That's right, and if they get over today, they'll certainly be looking forward to playing Kilkenny, because traditionally Tip have a very, very good record against Kilkenny. But I think Galway certainly are going to be a big obstacle in their way today. They have a lot to play for, a lot of new young players who won't have any inhibitions about playing Tipperary, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Tipperary will react to a strong challenge brought to them by Galway. I think early on, especially, Gerald, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a fairly physical game.
But the lack of match practice in terms of championship coming in like this for Galway, they're coming in cold. They haven't had a match so far in the championship. It's been a long time since they played a competitive game back in the league. They didn't qualify for the knockout stages. Is that a major disadvantage?
It's certainly a disadvantage. Any team will always tell you that having a game under your belt is a big help. You learn certain things from championship games. Players prove themselves and other players don't make it in championship hurling. So there's a certain element of going to the unknown today about some of the Galway players. You really don't know how they're going to play until the gun is put to your head in championship battle. That's why I'm looking forward to today about Tipperary, because a lot of their players really haven't been tested yet either, in a tight game especially.
Yes, it's something we're really looking forward to. The atmosphere building up the whole time. Big occasion for young Michael Cleary here. And John Glynn, general manager of the Burlington Hotel, here with a little supporter along there as well. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a Galway supporter, mind you. That's the Cusack stand in the background, due to be demolished, of course, in the future plans. The new Lord Mayor of Dublin here, Tomás McGilla, just happens to be a Tipperary man. And I don't think he's quite neutral this afternoon, puffing away contentedly on that pipe. Lady Mayoress alongside him. Expectations of crowd figures round about 50,000 this afternoon. It won't be too far short of that, I think, building up the whole time. Hopper McGrath, who was here on All-Ireland Club final day, hoping to make it a double. Richie Burke just there behind him, the Galway goalkeeper. Pitch is in excellent condition. This is the third match we've had here at headquarters this afternoon. Jerry McInerney, going to be interesting to see how he works out as a centre-half back. That's his club position. Tipperary won the toss, I can tell you. They're opting to play from left to right in the first half, which means they'll be playing against the breeze. So Galway will have the elements of their back. It's a wind that's blowing down the field towards Hill 16, swirling ever so slightly away into the corner of the Cusack stand. So the clock, which has been fixed here at Croke Park, is gradually winding its way towards a 4:45. Declan Carr there in midfield, along with Pat Malone. Declan, of course, hoping that brother Tommy will be part of the Dublin team in a couple of weeks' time. Agus anish, Monacule vocally or dine, Agus Auron the Viet. Dickie Murphy from County Wexford, of course, the man who handled last year's All-Ireland hurling final so effectively, going across straight away there to John Lahey and to Tom Hellebert. They were leaning in on one another just as the national anthem was being played, and Dickie, I'm sure out of the corner of his eye, had spotted it. So the band moves off, and the match gets underway. And after so many games in football where players have changed positions straight away at the start of games, happy to report that they're all in the selected spots. Paul Delaney nipping that one out. Declan Ryan, strong, forceful player. Here's Nicky English losing the stick, held up unfairly. Declan Ryan limping away out of that one, feeling the full effects of the challenge. So tip against the wind in the first half. Ryan still in trouble as Cleary avails of the opening to slot over the opening point from a free by Michael Cleary. Well, I guess the message there, Jimmy, is that Galway can ill afford to concede frees with a player like Cleary about.
That's right, and a good start by Nicky English as well, getting involved in the game right from the start, and Tip will be very keen that Nicky has a good game and gets involved all the time, but as you said, you're a good score by Cleary.
It's a huge puck out by Richie Burke down as far as Joe Rabbit. Nice ball across towards Hopper, but Hopper couldn't contain it. Brendan Keogh now turning round there, getting the measure of Conall Bonner, but not able to steer it on target.
obvious that Galway are very fired up for this game today, but they certainly wouldn't want to be giving away any stupid frees, because as you said yourself, Chair, Michael Cleary will punish any of those, and what they've got to do is be very disciplined in their play and try and, with the wind behind them, get a few scores on the board and get some confidence for the young players.
Declan Ryan not really getting much of a touch on that one. Here he is, Declan Carr rather, here he is again. Ramey Ryan holding it back. Ramey winning that one. Corey Kelly now. Blocked down by Michael Cleary. Murty Killalay getting away from the challenge there by Declan Ryan. The shoulder deemed unfair there by Declan Carr.
So what the referee's got to decide here, Gerard, is whether it's a shoulder into his chest or not, and you know, sometimes it's difficult to call that, but I think the referee is probably right. But Declan Carr intended just a shoulder charging, but the player turned into him.
Kelly to strike it. Tipperary 1 point to the good. Michael Ryan down there and protests, but the umpire flagging that one wide. And still Declan Ryan from Clonalty Rossmore in need of attention from the Tipperary doctor, who's John Keating. Ken Hogan from Lura. Good one against the wind towards John Lahey, touched on by Nicky English, I think, towards Anthony Cross. Nice transfer to English again. And this time the foul by Tom Helibert. We're taking a look at that incident again, I think, as Nicky was turning in towards Tom Helibert.
Yes, again, Anthony Cross looking up here, wins the ball quite well, passes up to Nicky English, who's coming in very, very quick. And Nicky's fouled here, but Sean Tracy comes in a wild pull across Nicky English, and lucky not to be booked for that.
Cleary puts it over the bar. So a second point for Tipperary. And so far the game going according to expectations. Richie Burke first came into the championship team back in 1991. Flies straight through the centre of the field. Missed by everybody except Joe Rabbit. Declan Carr trying to contain this one. Now Paul Delaney booting it forward. Aidan Ryan, that's a fine catch against Murty Killalay. Ryan supported by Cross to his right. Cleary's on his left. Trying to make an angle for himself. The marking quite slack. Michael Coleman whipping on it first time, getting it away from the danger zone. Nicky English, if anything, has moved to centre half forward on Jerry McInerney in a switch straight away here. That might be to facilitate Declan Ryan just to recover from the heavy knock he picked up earlier on. Declan Carr, not the best. Bobby Ryan. Here's John Lahey. Nice ball through the centre. Michael Coleman once again. Coleman is fouled 45 metres out from his own goal.
Declan Ryan seems to be struggling quite badly with his knee injury, and I suppose Tipper lucky that they've got Pat Fox to the line. He could come in straight away into the corner forward position.
Yeah, Pat was injured in a club game a couple of weeks ago. The shin bone became infected, but he is fit to take his place in this team if called upon. Tom Helibert whipping it in nicely, batted down well by Bobby Ryan there, beating Joe McGrath. Colin Bonner with that lengthy clearance, not linking up with a colleague. Referee just wanting everybody back. Corey Kelly then to take this sideline cut. Galway still looking for their first score. It'll be important that they get a score pretty quickly here. Liam Burke knocking it forward too far. Out by Bobby Ryan, back in again by Hopper McGrath. Oh, it's a goal! A mistake by Ken Hogan, a misjudgment, and Michael Hopper McGrath has scored a goal after 6 minutes. Galway take the lead. We were saying they needed a score. We scarcely expected one like this, however.
Well, to be honest, Galway have been struggling very badly to get into the game, but this is a great break for them. Michael McGrath, just a speculative shot in front of Ken Hogan, who lets it bounce in front of him and never gets his body properly behind it. Very soft goal.
He rarely makes an error, but that's one definitely, and he's got to try and get it behind him now straight away and regain his confidence. Next couple of balls into the goalkeeper there will be very important indeed. Tipperary have a sideline ball. It'll be Conall Bonner who'll take it. Anthony Cross waiting down just outside the small rectangle. Got low along the ground. Pat Malone, the one who touched it last, I think. In fact, it's clearly gone off a tip player. Tom Helibert. Nicely inside. There's some pushing there on Joe Cooney. Galway want a big performance from Joe Cooney this afternoon. Back in the position for when she really sprung onto the senior stage back in 1985. So Joe tagging on a point. So Galway leading by 2 points. Joe, who won an All-Ireland club medal back on St. Patrick's Day, which was his 28th birthday as well. We have a problem now for Babs. His team has been hurling really well in training. Michael Coleman now, lifted by that goal. Joe Rabbit, angling for the shot, but just too much to the left and wide, and Galway's third wide. Tip without a wide so far. And 2 points off the stick of Michael Cleary. The gloves been worn, as we said earlier, to protect very sore hands. Jerry McInerney bursting forward. Used to be the wing-back, now the centre half-back. Michael Ryan likewise coming out in dashing style from the Tipperary full-back line. Towards Aidan Ryan, prodded forward. On to Anthony Cross. First touch just letting him down, but he has the pace to carry it forward to Declan Ryan. Declan Ryan getting his first point since moving across to top of the left. Just one between them.
Well, this score is as a result of good clearance by Michael Ryan. Anthony Cross does quite well here, but the ball is deflected across the square, and Declan Ryan, despite the fact he's carrying injury, gets a very good point there under pressure.
Puck out's been taken. And again, great length into it. Now John Lahey, Tom Helibert and that 50-50 ball. Michael Coleman adjusts to a push Lahey. Just exchanging pleasantries there momentarily, but it's going to be a free to Tipperary.
Sure, Galway are lucky that they got that goal, because they're finding it hard to come to grips with Tipperary in the midfield and half-forward line, and you know, the goal was a great break for them, but they need to get a few more scores because the wind is very, very strong, as you can see from the puck out.
Jarlath Cloonan there in the background indicating that he wants a switch, I think, among the Galway forwards. We'll tell you about that if it materialises. Meanwhile, it's Paul Cooney and Jerry McInerney. McInerney shouldered high there by Declan Ryan. Down to the other Declan Carr. Nice ball inside, stopped by Sean Tracy. Knocked out there by Pádraig Kelly. Well, he was having difficulty the whole time, Conall Bonner, taking it up onto his stick. Conall is in a match up there with Joe Cooney, having switched across with Rémi Ryan. Strangely subdued atmosphere, and 11 minutes gone. Comes back to Declan Carr. He picked it off the ground. Free to Galway. All of this while, Tip have taken the option of bringing Declan Ryan back onto the 40 again in a switch with Nicky English, who once again is left corner forward. Joe Cooney. Nicely in towards Joe Rabbit. Hopper is in there as well. It beats them all. Galway with 4 wides to show from the first half.
There's absolutely no atmosphere there at the moment here, and very, very dead. And I think Galway would need to raise the tempo of the game a bit and try and get the crowd behind them if they're to get this lead that they need after half time.
Colin Bonner over there challenging Michael Coleman. Coleman still battling away. Coleman winning it. On towards Rabbit, runs on towards Liam Burke. Paul Delaney out there first time. Brendan Keogh trying to dispossess Paul Delaney. Not getting great length into it, just as far as Colin Bonner. Nice dodge around. The referee has whistled it up and he's gone back to have a word there with the Galway player involved. It was Pat Malone, or rather it's Tom Helibert, I should say. Tom Helibert having the caution issued against him. So once again the tip doctor is busy. John Lahey to take this free, going towards the left. Tips first wide. A look of disappointment on the face of John Lahey. It's a match that so far has yet to excite the crowd here, and a big crowd at that. Straight through the centre again it goes. This time it's the tip full back Noel Sheehy, producing a good clearance. Jarlath Cloonan there, centre of our picture, the very successful under-21 manager, 21 team manager a few years ago, having stepped up to the senior grade. Again it goes straight to the cover of Bobby Ryan. Rémi Ryan, his namesake, playing it left half back. Going to chop down Michael Coleman, the guilty party. Certainly is a lack of fluency in the match so far. We've got 14 minutes gone. It's Galway 1-1, 4 points, Tipperary 3. And Rémi Ryan to take this one. Towards Michael Cleary's corner, watched all the while by Pádraig Kelly. Clearance down towards Joe McGrath, younger brother of Hopper. Here's the team captain under pressure. Joe Rabbit now, players calling for it. One of them Brendan Keogh, the other is Hopper McGrath. Paul Delaney goes back in there to make the clearance from the goal area. Missed by Colin Bonner. Once again Liam Burke, and Burke drills it over the bar. He got 4 fine points from play in last year's semi-final. This is the first this afternoon. Well, that's a bit more like it. Pat Malone breaking it down. It's picked up by Michael Cleary towards John Lahey. Good control there by Murty Killilay. And Pádraig Kelly once again, settling down very nicely indeed. Michael McGrath leaving it there for Liam Burke, scorer of that last point. Here's a chance, that's a fine save by Ken Hogan. That will rebuild his confidence. It may not have been exactly walloped in by Liam Burke, but it was a good save nonetheless.
Yeah, well gathered up by Liam Burke, but he doesn't really get hold of it and strikes it quite weakly, but Ken Hogan satisfied this time, just knock it out for a 65. That'll certainly give him a bit of confidence, Jerry. It wasn't a great shot, but at least he'll be satisfied that he got it away and put it out of the danger zone.
He'll be very happy. So Brendan Keogh now in a listless game so far. From the 65, high, stopped again by Ken Hogan. Well, a possible goal and a possible point saved in the last 2 attacks by Ken Hogan. Rémi Ryan has let it behind to Michael McGrath. Hopper trying to link up there with Brendan Keogh, pressurised, supported now here by Joe McGrath. Making a bit of space for himself. He's a very strong player and accurate as well. That's a lovely score. He made it all himself, taking it back there from that pass, making the angle for himself, making some space.
Nice pointer, but again it was a ball that should have been cleared out of the Tipperary defence. I'd say Babs Keating wasn't a bit happy with Rémi Ryan there, kind of loose play and giving Galway the opportunity of a soft point.
Well, people will be making the case that Tip were not really severely tested in the Munster Championship. This was supposed to be a big test. This is Colin Bonner racing through. Really hit hard that time. Out it comes to Paul Cooney, a relation of the other Cooney, Joe Cooney. Colin Bonner up, back in his feet once again. Nicky back top of the left, as we were saying. Declan Ryan on the 40. John Lahey to cut it in. That's beautifully done. A race for possession. Won here by Pat Malone, the midfield player. Down towards Liam Burke, doing well against Paul Delaney. A rather aimless one. The inside forwards have been sucked in a bit, but no real trouble to Ken Hogan that time. Pressure there by Tom Helibert. And Jarlath, I think, will be reasonably pleased with the opening 17.5 minutes. Side 3 points to the good. Tony Keady there. And those faces in the background. Nicky English beaten by a determined Michael Coleman for Galway. Michael Ryan making another fine catch. Tom Helibert. Down towards Hopper McGrath, runs on to Liam Burke, again testing Ken Hogan from a good 30 metres out. Ken responding well. Now Aidan Ryan. Knocked forward towards Nicky English without the stick, needing a bit of support. Nobody better than Colin Bonner in there, but the referee not too pleased with the pass after Nicky had lost the stick. It's going to be a free to Galway.
Strange atmosphere, as you say, Gerard. The game really hasn't come to life yet, and it suits Galway at the moment. They're just getting the grips with the game. Michael Coleman coming into the game very much, and Pádraig Kelly also left half playing quite well for Galway at the moment.
Nicely down towards Joe Rabbit again, runs loose. Here's Joe McGrath, and he's got another point. 2 points for Joe McGrath. The McGraths contributing handsomely, with his brother, of course, having got a goal already after 6 minutes. Well, do they believe that their team can reach this year's final? I'm sure they do. The general consensus was that it was going to be a Kilkenny-Tip final. We'll have to wait and see. Kilkenny already there. Referee is going to throw the ball in. Joe McGrath, the player who is getting himself off the ground. Declan Carr and Pat Malone. Pádraig Kelly nipping in. Here's Paul Delaney. Liam Burke coming deep, making life very difficult for Paul Delaney. Good ambitious ball across the field, trying to open up the play. Hopper selling a dummy to Michael Ryan, but putting the ball wide as well for what is Galway's fifth wide rather, of the first half.
I'm sure what Galway are doing is they're pulling a lot of the players out around the half forward, and including their 2 corner forwards, and leaving Joe Rabbit inside on his own against Noel Sheehy. But what Tipperary will be concerned about is that their half back and really haven't come into the game at all, and Bobby Ryan isn't blocking the ball coming through the middle, and a lot of the ball going around the Tipperary full back line.
One of the switches we were mentioning earlier, Joe Cooney is now on the 40. Joe McGrath is left half forward, been marked by Rémi Ryan. Michael Cleary and Aidan Ryan for Tipperary have also switched positions. Cleary is now top of the right. It's Galway with the free. It'll be Pádraig Kelly who'll take it. And the chance of Galway be beginning to be heard a bit more at Croke Park. A high one to the left and well wide. Since that goal after 6 minutes, this has been a good spell for Galway. Jerry McInerney in there trying to contain the threat of Declan Ryan, supported by Michael Coleman, playing everywhere, down towards Joe Rabbit. Rabbit able to win possession and take his score with great assurance. A first point by Joe Rabbit. Injured hands or no injured hands, and this guy is very, very pleased indeed.
again, as I was, yes, Joe Rabbit are getting the ball in front of Noel Sheehy and posing a lot of problems for the Tipperary full back line.
Declan Carr now trying to get something going at midfield, trying to supply the ammunition for the forwards whom we know can be so explosive. Michael Cleary all this while is on the ground injured. Play continuing. Noel Sheehy, oh, Paul Delaney took it away from his fullback and was almost putting his own defence into trouble. Bobby Ryan couldn't take it up. Hasn't started all that prominently, Bobby. Rémi Ryan nursing that one away there, but now taken back well by Brendan Keogh. Delaney once again. Tip side right now looking a bit less than composed, and Brendan Keogh emphasises that point with his first point of the match, and every one of the Galway forwards has now scored. Michael Cleary still down, injured, being attended. Seems to be an arm injury.
It's an important factor that the wind is very, very strong there, but you have to say that Tipperary are playing very, very dead and very lethargic looking team today, and don't seem to have any great fire around the middle of the field or in their half forward line. They'd be very, very concerned about that.
Interesting that in scoring chances so far, Tip with 3 scoring chances taken out of 4 so far. Galway have taken 7 chances, that's a goal and 6 points, out of 17 chances so far that they've created. Broken down here by Brendan Keogh, supported there by Michael Coleman. Michael Coleman, one of just 4 players from the last Galway side to win the All-Ireland against Tipperary, of course, back in 1988. A much-changed team. Rabbit deemed the guilty party there. And Pat Fox is being prepared. And Michael Cleary is back on his feet once again. They may just feel that they need Fox in there. If Galway have Joe Rabbit, Pat Fox at the other end might be able to produce the magic for Tip. Pat Malone into open space, missed by Conall Bonner, supported however by his fullback Noel Sheehy. Down to Anthony Cross, pushed initially, but play allowed to continue. Aidan Ryan outside towards John Lahey, flicking it outside towards Declan Ryan. Again running into strong challenges and a cul-de-sac with Jerry McInerney there blocking the way, and it's Michael Coleman who lifts the siege. Well organised Galway defence then, turning defence into attack, and it's Hopper McGrath. Can this result in a point? Not quite. But the defence did well at the opposite end, showing that Tip are not going to get scores very lightly. Tip so far with just 1 point from play, that from Declan Ryan, and we're now in the 25th minute of this match. Aidan Ryan, a lovely pick up, crossing the 45-metre line. Pádraig Kelly slow to put in a challenge, cross towards Nicky English, challenging over there with Paul Cooney. Murty Killalay now, and again it's Michael Coleman, or Sean Tracy rather, Tracy downfield, Pat Malone missing it. Rémi Ryan comes back here to Joe Cooney, 65 metres out. The 2-man attack in there, they've done that in the past in semi-final ties. It's Joe Rabbit outside towards Brendan Cooney, not a good pass. And Conall Bonner has it, but pressurised all the time. Linesman down here, who is John Cribben from County Down, signalling that it's going to be a Tipperary ball. Interesting that Tip have once again made the switch, and right now Nicky is walking back towards the 40. Declan Ryan's gone back to top of the left. All this while Jerry McInerney has stayed centre half back. He's doing well. Here he is challenging, seems to be fouling Nicky English, well, the second time at least. It's Galway 1-6, Tipperary 3 points, and Tip are preparing to make a change, and it's Conor Stakelum who's getting ready to come in. He's not in just yet. Meanwhile, it's Rémi Ryan for a troubled Tipperary side, needing scores quickly. Michael Cleary producing 1, a point, to add to the 2 from Freeze earlier on. So 5 between them. It's not much, but a Tip side that is yet really to get going.
Oh, indeed, none of their forwards are making any impact at all. Michael Cleary now playing corner forward, and they badly need to get Anthony Cross winning some ball there and trying taking on the defence, as too many of them are passing the ball around short ways and getting themselves into trouble.
Just about 8 minutes to go to half-time. Bobby Ryan batting that one down. Michael Coleman picking it up. Lobbed in over the full back line, and Ken Hogan says we'll let that one go harmlessly out over the end line and wide. He's picked up a lot of ball, Michael Coleman, in this match. He's worked tirelessly. So Conor Stakelum and Pat Fox being prepared over there. They're hardly going to consider a double switch at this stage. Coleman, it's Bobby Ryan playing it forward to his brother Aidan. Can they get going? Just 5 between them, remember. He loses the ball. Murty Killalay wallops it out. Good clearance. Picked up here by Colin Bonner. An interesting ball into the corner. Sean Tracy going across. Nicky English got the touch to it. Nicky with a bemused look in his face because the umpire has flagged it wide. He wasn't quite sure that the whole of that ball had crossed out over the end line. From here it looked a very tight one, but it's going to be Conor Stakelum who comes in, and Pat Fox. Well, this is a bit of a gamble. Declan Ryan might, well, be carrying an injury from the very first moment of the game. He's one of the players going off. Lahey has switched in towards midfield. Colin Bonner appears to be the other player they're replacing, although he's still on. Declan Ryan, one of the two to go. Lahey has got into midfield, and yes, Colin Bonner now being told, you're the other player to leave.
Great disorganisation there on the Tipperary side, and it's symptomatic of the way they've been playing, really very dead and no great life in their team at all. And they'll need to come into the game in the middle of the field and their half-back, and especially if they're going to come into the game.
Ramey very near the sideline. Joe McGrath, the number 11. Not a good clearance. Joe Cooney breaking it down. Using his strength. That's a good shoulder by Lahey. Another one. Oh, the linesman John Cribben here. Up with the flag. Lahey wasn't standing on ceremony. Whipping it away. The linesman quite clearly signalling his intentions. Remember, Joe Cooney now is at centre forward on Bobby Ryan, trying to have an unsettling effect on Bobby. To people who are here in big numbers are pretty silent, it must be said. I'm making about 6 minutes to go to half-time. 1-6 to 4 points, 9 points to 4. Galway the leaders. Aidan Ryan getting it. Knocked inside. Oh, nicely away there by Paul Cooney. Just the pressure maintaining, however, with Pat Fox. Now Anthony Cross, right on the end line. Enterprising position. Fox, usually so deadly, this time wide. But there was a lovely little flick away by Paul Cooney, the cornerback of Galway that time, nursing it away. Here comes Joe Cooney, winning a good ball. Cross towards Michael McGrath. Two of the players who came in 1985, stamped their impact on this game. Stalemate broken by Michael Ryan. Towards Conor Stakelum. Well, when there's a full complement available, very often Conor Stakelum is the one left out, but he always plays his heart out in the Tipperary colours. Tom Helibert didn't make much headway with that. Declan Carr losing it to Joe Cooney. Bobby Ryan in there as well. Bobby without the stick. And a bloody nose as well, it seems. Bobby in the wars for the first time. Great old stager. Joe Cooney standing motionless, ready to take this free from 45 metres. And making the most of the chance that comes his way. So Joe Cooney has now pointed 2 frees. That's 2 frees out of 3 converted by Joe Cooney. Jerry McInerney making a super catch. They were slow to settle down, Galway, but since the goal after 6 minutes, they've looked the more impressive side. They seem to have a great hunger for this victory as well, and this their first championship match of the season. Brendan Keogh, the number 10. It'll be a Tipperary ball. John Lahey at midfield, of course, along with Declan Carr. It's won by one of the midfielders, but it's the Galway midfielder, Pat Malone. Soloing forward. Not the best of balls, however. It's Conall Bonner who takes it with style towards Aidan Ryan against two Galway men. One of them is Murty Killalay. He's been impressive. To Pádraig Kelly. Withstood the challenge and made a great score. No wonder he was man of the match in the club final. 11 points to 4, and Pádraig Kelly with an amazing point from way out the field.
Well, again, great score here by Galway. Murty Killalay very alert there, spots Pádraig Kelly loose outside him, and a great score from play. It's a long square down the field, and a beautiful point for Galway.
It's getting closer to half-time, 3 minutes to go. Joe McGrath. Michael Ryan misses it, he runs on. Joe Cooney comes back off the defender, Noel Sheehy there. Still battling in there, the full-back, with Brendan Keogh, supported here by Paul Delaney. Liam Burke is the Galway player. Nicely out. Some pushing, however, that'll be a Tipperary free. It was Michael Coleman, I think, who did the pushing there. The Galway people, well, they're not quite sure whether or not their team are going to stay ahead, and Tip will be hoping for a better change of fortunes after half-time.
Tip badly need a score, Joe. They're really not playing well at all, and if Galway go in leading by 6 or 7 points at half-time the way Tipperary are playing, you probably find it very hard to see them pegging it back.
Conall Bonner, referee, has whistled up the play, and he's having a word there with Nicky English and with Jerry McInerney. Happy with the lecture and the handshake. The needle is continuing, I think.Ildán McSívna from Dublin, the linesman across there, just indicating to Conall Bonner that he wants that free taken inside the Tip 45-metre line. Heading towards the last minute of the first half, that has been quite listless by and large. But Galway won't be too dissatisfied with that. They face whatever perils may accrue from this latest free to Tipperary, however. Michael Cleary going across to take it. Pat Fox in there being marked by Paul Cooney. Michael Cleary, I'm sure, will be content to try and slot this one over. It's 11 points to 4 at this stage. And he's done exactly that. So a 4th point by Michael Cleary, and 6 points the margin. Bobby Ryan trying to break that one down, not exactly getting the stick to it. Brendan Keogh sees that one come back to Joe McGrath. McGrath going by. He's a strong performer, and he's got a 3rd point. So the gap widening out to 7 points again, and these Galway supporters will be very pleased.
Jared significant. Richie Buck is pucking the ball right down the middle on top of Joe Rabbit and Bobby Ryan, and Bobby Ryan isn't stopping the puck up, going through it all, and Galway are getting quite a lot of scores from that.
It's broken down to Hopper McGrath. Brendan Keogh there against Michael Ryan. In comes Joe Rabbit once again. Rabbit with one hand on the stick, somehow in a kneeling position, taking it up against the attentions of Bobby Ryan. Inside it goes to Liam Burke, firing it in, stopped by Ken Hogan. Whoa, that was close again. Almost another nightmare scenario for Ken Hogan. We're well into injury time in this first half. Galway lording it against a Tip side that hasn't played well at all. Galway showing what they're made of. Rémi Ryan as the referee whistles for half-time. Tip will be mindful of the fact that Antrim went in at half-time leading by 3 points and succumbed in the second half to the might of Kilkenny. Galway will hope that they can stay ahead. Half-time score, it's Galway 1-9, Tipperary 5 points, Galway leading by 7.
Well, always going into these All-Ireland semi-final situations, one has a question mark over the form of Galway simply because there's no provincial championship there for them. However, after 35 minutes, at least that question is now answered for us. As Gerard Canning said, the question is, can Galway keep that up in the second half? There'll be some harsh words in the Tipperary dressing room, one suspects at half-time. We take a commercial break. Join us again in a few minutes. Welcome back again to Croke Park. It's been a Kilkenny double here so far. There are minors and seniors through to the All-Ireland final on September the 5th. The question is, who will be joining the seniors? Will it be Galway or will it be Tipperary? At half-time here, the odds have to be on Galway, 1-9 to 5 points. They lead Tipperary. Kieran Barr, that first half was quite similar, in fact, to the first half in the Antrim Kilkenny game. They scored 1-8, Galway 1-9, and Tipper, in fact, was just a score less than Kilkenny had.
I think that's correct, but it's crucial that Galway haven't given away a goal, and they haven't given away a goal because of some superb defence. And I think they've been tenacious in defence and they've been excellent. Some of the guys running through it, and Ryan Cullen Bonner of Tipperary, being hit strong, shoulder charges, dispossessed, and the ball cleared. That makes a difference. If you're doing that regularly, and then Tipperary are trying again, and it's broken down again and cleared, then there's a bit of doubt put in somebody's mind. The next time they run in, they'll be looking for a pass instead of going themselves. Galway are playing extremely well defensively, and then their forwards are able to build on that.
Yeah. Interestingly, a goal in the Antrim Kilkenny match against Antrim sort of killed off their challenge. A goal for Galway sort of put them into the game when they were struggling to sort of settle down.
I would agree with you. In the first 10 minutes, Galway looked all at sea, and you can see here their passes are going astray. They're going all over the place. Upper McGrath takes a ball, it's deflected and has a spin on it, and as it hits the ground, it moves. It's like a cricket ball. They talk about the spinners playing a ball into a cricketer. That's what happened to that ball. It took so much spin from the deflection that it bounced in front of Ken Hogan, hit the ground and took a movement as it spun away from him, and that's why it beat him. But they were out of the game, and yet suddenly there was a goal. You could see Joe Rabbit jumping up and down, waving his hands, shouting the other guys' encouragement. Suddenly it gave them heart when there was none, and it just gave the younger fellas a sort of a sense of, you never know what might happen in this game. Now, I'm not saying it was a decisive thing. It didn't make the difference between the two teams, but at the end of the day, it might make the difference in winning or losing this game. But Galway have definitely built on the defensive strength they've shown in the first half and taken marvellous points, especially this new guy McGrath they have. He was out of the game for the first 20 minutes, and then bang, he's hit over 3 scores, excellent scores. And another guy I'm especially impressed with is their cornerback, Killalay, who's shown a great maturity. Lovely passes out of defence, playing the ball to a Galway man, not just hitting the ball down the field for a clearance 70 yards, looking for a guy, placing the ball, then they're making something out of that.
All right, Kieran, for a moment we'll take a break on our assessment of that first half. But right now, though, let's go down to the pitch where the mini skills continues, and of course where the Artane Boys Band, as ever, are entertaining the crowd here at Croke Park. So the skills of camogie and hurling given by the young players, the players of the future, has just ended. They're leaving the field in preparation for the second half of this game between Galway and Tipperary. We've been talking to Kieran Barr about how well the Galway defence played in that first half. But Kieran, obviously the big test will come in the second half when they're now playing against the breeze.
I think it will, but I'd like to make a point that Tipperary seemed to be a little bit at sea, and even when they were making a substitution there, 2 players were running onto the pitch, then Babs Keating brought them back, then they ran back onto the pitch again and he brought them back. There's indecision within Tipperary, and if they don't sort themselves out, they're going to end up the losers here. They're really going to have to do what Kilkenny did in the second half and come out with all guns blazing.
this is one of the problems that they face, because having played so well against Clare in the Munster final, talking to Babs Keating down at their training in Templemore during the week, they say they're flying. I've never seen them training so well. Now the doubts are beginning to creep in, perhaps.
It's almost like an anti-climax. All the preparations are made for the big party, all the bunting's tied up, then you get in the big day and everybody's a little bit down, a little bit flat. Look, they've just got to look at each other and say, lads, do we want to win this or not? And they've got the talent, they've got the ability, and they've just got to go out and make it happen, as Kilkenny did in the first game.
They are undoubtedly, though, the most successful and consistent team of the past 5 or 6 years, Tipperary. There's no way they're gone out of this semi-final now.
No, they're not. And Babs Keating, you can see him coming out here. He's a great tactician. So is O'Donoghue. They might get a little, maybe some people would criticise them getting a little bit excited on the sideline. But what they've got to do is let the 15 guys they have on the pitch now work at it. And if they can't do it, nobody can do it. And what they've got to say to them is, look, you've put a jersey on for Tipperary, let's have a go.
It all makes for an interesting second half. Let's go back to
Declan Carr. John Lahey is on the 40, Michael Cleary on the right, Stakelham is on the left, and we have Iggy Clark here, father Iggy Clark, great Galway star of the past, noting that Pat Fox is top of the right. So the second half gets underway. Can Tip come back? What will be the effects of the words at half-time from Babs Keating? Nicky English here, beaten straight away by Paul Cooney, supported here by Jerry McInerney, and there's an injury there to the face of John Lahey, I think. Lahey just picked up an eye injury, and concern straight away for John Lahey. Just a 50-50 challenge here it was again, Jimmy.
Yeah, you can see Lahey here, great block down, but I think Jerry McInerney's hurley following through catches Lahey on the head. Complete accident.
Back on his feet once again, John. Looks a lot worse than I think it probably really is. Once it's tidied up, it'll be reasonably okay.
Looks like a very nasty gash in the cheek there, in fairness, and he's tough for the stuff, but I don't think that'll keep him out of the game or anything like that, but it's something you'd rather not get.
Liam Hennessy there attending to him.
Here you can see McInerney again. Lahey has his eye on the ball all the time, never takes it off it, knocks it away beautifully, but Jerry McInerney on the follow-through catches Lahey right in the cheek.
Well, John about to be attended to by John Keating, and having used 2 of their subs already, Tip in trouble in the early stages of the second half. I'm sure they'll attend to John Lahey and get him back into the match as quickly as possible. But right now they're down to 14 players, and it's Pádraig Kelly. Paul Delaney whipping it down again. It's Pádraig Kelly standing his ground, partially blocked down here by Michael Cleary, supported here by Anthony Cross. Cross going forward, nice robbery there, beautifully done. Pat Malone swinging it downfield. Joe Rabbit had to wrestle that ball away there from Noel Sheehy. Sheehy having his hands full with Rabbit this afternoon.
Again, the problem from Tipperary's point of view there, George, Anthony Cross had possession and was just lost too easily in trying to hand pass the ball away, and Galway straight away on the attack.
Joe Cooney with the free. And this one has gone wide. 2 frees from 4 so far, put over by Joe Cooney. Galway's 9th wide of the match. That, of course, the first of the second half. They're still working here on John Lahey, just getting a few bandages in. They'll need a stitch, I'm sure, as well. Declan Carr setting up the move for Aidan Ryan. Now at midfield. That's gone wide. Tip's 4th wide. Tip in the first half with just 7 scoring chances, only managing to make 5 of them. 7 scoring chances in 35 minutes is surely a very significant indictment of their forward line.
Feature, and that double substitution all leaves them very thin on the ground. If John Lahey has to go off and even a few minutes is off, that's great concern, because they have to get him back on the field. If they had another injury later on in the game, they'd be in fierce trouble.
Brendan Keogh turning on his left side. Good ball across towards Joe Rabbit. This time Sheehy kicking the ball out towards Declan Carr. Well, he's lost it easily there. Liam Dunn inside to Rabbit, trying to go around Paul Delaney outside the large rectangle, and the umpire flagging it wide. Rabbit on the ground and the referee in there. Referee attending to Joe Rabbit. For once there was a chance, surely.
Well, great catch by Rabbit, but A bit of wrestling match there with Paul Delaney, and Michael Ryan comes across and hits fair shoulder on top of Joe Rabbit.
I think the umpire was flagging it wide from there.
I think in fairness to Joe Rabbit, though, he was fouled before the ball went there, Joe.
Big cheer because John Lahey is back with the action once again. Dr. Michael McGloin this time attending to Joe Rabbit.
Big problem from Tipperary's point of view, Ger, simply is though that their half-back line and midfield are not getting any clearances in. And in hurling at this level, I think your half-back line have to dominate to get the ball into your forward line, and not one of the Tipperary half-backs at the moment is clearing the ball independent of his man.
It's curious, Bobby Ryan is